What a wonderful introduction again by Herr Stemme. Big thank you to Marky Mark, our sound engineer, to produce everything properly for us. And I'm now, again, here you are, one of your hosts. I'm Ferris Kennedy. And to the left of me in one side of the studio, I'm going to see if the doctor is in.
Hello.
The doctor is in, Mr.
Dr. Ian Clark.
Fantastic. And into the booth across from us through the glass window. Let's see if he's awake.
Yeah, I'm here.
Stephen Wheeler?
Stephen Wheeler is here.
Stephen Wheeler is awake, and he also has our producer in the studio with him to help him push the buttons, Armando. And a lot of people say, well, how come Armando never speaks? Well, because
He's mute.
He's mute. Well, not really, just he's very shy. So, now we're on one of our series of Safe or Not. And before I get to it, I'll just let the good Reverend next to me explain what the whole concept is. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. You know, this idea came to us about 2 weeks ago. And the way it happened was I was time traveling back in my mind to many, many years ago to high school. And there was a guy there. His name was Paul. And this guy was kind of a big man on campus. Had a lot of stuff going for him. He was a football team, this and that, and good marks. But he didn't have much of a background in what you would call the arts. And he wanted to present himself as a well-rounded individual. You got to admit, I remember, Rod, this guy's only, 18? He's thinking ahead this way. So I had this tiny little smidgen of a reputation as a guy that knew something about popular music. And he came to me. And he said, listen, not in these words, but this is what he meant. Can you recommend a band or bands that I say I can like, that I don't have to defend my decision because I don't know anything about it? And to tell you the truth, I don't care that much about it. But it's something I should do. And I thought to myself, well, at least he's trying. So I said to him, okay, the ultimate safe band in the world has got to be the Beatles. Because they were around for about 10 years. They wrote ballads, hard rock, experimental. They did everything. If you don't like the Beatles, it says something more about you than the actual musicians themselves. So just say you like the Beatles, and no one's going to challenge you on it. He said, great. So about a week later, he was walking down the halls of the high school wearing a Beatles T-shirt. So he probably went a little too far. But that's a true story. Okay, time travel back to the present year, 2019, 20,000. And I thought, a lot of bands are like that. A lot of TV shows, a lot of movies are like that. There are safe, let's say safe songs, safe bands, and there are ones that you could term unsafe, where if you're asked, for instance, if you like, you say, I love the Velvet Underground. Well, you might be talking to somebody who knows a lot about them. They could say, really? Well, what album? And you can't come back with all of them, or I don't know, I'm not sure. Other words, you could, if you're challenged, you're going to have kind of a background.
What about the, the one with, no.
No, it won't work. You shut up. That doesn't work either. So you're going to have to have a bit of a background. You're going to have to be interested in music. So, safe criteria. You can probably make up your own. Here are a few. You can support the band without knowing much about them. Obviously, the Beatles. The band is popular and well-known. The Rolling Stones, U2. The band can be said to best represent a genre or an era, like Metallica or Jefferson Airplane. The band has longevity, let's say more than 10 years. Most bands don't last 10 years, but take 5-10 years. It'd be David Bowie, for instance. Okay, and then another one, do they have a consistent core of personnel? Go back to the Beatles. Go back to the Rolling Stones, for God's sake. I mean, basically the same three guys, if no one dies. So what's an unsafe band? Well, you could be deemed to be unsafe if it's well known in terms of a marketing success, maybe the Monkees, or possibly they're just well known through a genre. I mentioned the Velvet Underground. Lou Reed and Velvet Underground previously. Typically, the underground press might support the band, such as, let's say, a Radiohead, even for ironic reasons. So you'd go into campus newspapers, and they're a big deal. You go into Rolling Stone or whatever, no one's heard about them. The bands, you're going to have to supply background information. You're going to feel the need to do that. So if you say, for instance, yeah, I love the Doors, you're going to have to know a little bit about Beyond, Light My Fire. They might really because pre-Jim Morrison, post-Jim Morrison, with Jim Morrison, you might be challenged on it for someone who really loves the Doors. Because at one point, they were the biggest band in America, although many young people have never heard of them today, right? So those are the basic parameters of safe and unsafe band. And as we go through this show, you'll catch on, and please feel free to email us in your suggestions, and we'll read them in a follow-up show. So how about we get going and we talk about, how about we start with safe bands?
Well, we could walk through it, but I also want to add one thing.
Sure.
If they've been Hall of Fame already, and if they've been inducted into Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, does that now eliminate the past criteria that they were at one time iffy, but then now you've been recognized by a hierarchy because of your longevity, because of what you've done, whether it would be through social programs or if they did a lot of like charity work. There's a lot of bands out there that are very big. Like, for instance, we'll just take an example, one that just got snubbed, which was Rage Against the Machine. Tom Morello has been around for a long time. He was with Audioslave. He was with Rage. There was another band that just doesn't come to the top of my head right now. And he also had a little bit of a solo project, which I gave you a copy of the disc, and you're like, yeah, this is pretty solid. So he got snubbed, but he does a lot of stuff for, they're kind of like activists a little bit for the people. So I guess they look at all that criteria. So Radiohead just got inducted, so now they're safe.
That's a really good point. What does what does the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame do to bands? There's an argument that it shouldn't even exist because it makes it safe, and rock and roll shouldn't be safe. But there you go.
All right, so let's go on to not really safe or not safe in any particular order.
We'll do it that way.
We'll do it that way, but obviously it's going to come to certain bands where you're going to say no.
Right.
I'm going to say yes. Wheels could say yes. He might say no, all depending how we feel on that day. So we'll start off with the first one. Aerosmith. Good old band from Boston, Mass.
Yeah, really.
Active since 1970, and they still have Steve Tyler, still have Joe Perry.
Barely.
Barely. Tom Hamilton is still there, Brad Whitford is still there, and Joey Kramer. Those are the original five.
It's incredible no one's died, yeah.
No one's died. They're Vegas bound right now, so your career is over.
Pretty well.
But, like you said, how many millions are you getting?
Oh, cha-ching.
There you go. So
you're saying they're safe. Yeah, I'd say they're safe now.
Yeah, exactly.
But when in the 70s they weren't safe.
No, in the 70s they were god awful.
In the 70s they were uncool. They like Aerosmith they were just what they used to call a dumb hair band, and they had Walked This Way, and that was it. And they were just stoned all the time, and they weren't a cool band. They didn't sell out. I can remember they came to Toronto around in the late 70s. They were no good. We won't talk about their kind of rebirth or reinvention, but they're sure safe now to the point where like Steve Tyler can do like American Idol. Wow, is that dumbed down? He's just a TV personality now. That's mega safe.
All right, so we'll let Wheels talk about the next band of where they originated from, how long they've been, and all the members that are there. Take it away, Wheels.
Okay, so AC/DC are guys from Sydney, Australia, so down under from 1973 all the way to the present. So you have Bon Scott, who's the singer from 74 to 80, Brian Johnson, who's the singer from 81 to present, Angus Young, who's been the lead guitarist ever since the beginning, Cliff Williams on bass, Malcolm Young at the rhythm guitar from 73 to 014, Steve Young at who's been the rhythm guitarist since 2014, and Chris Slade on the drums.
So there's two deaths in this one.
Mm-hmm.
One was Bon Scott an overdose? I forget.
Who was he? I think so.
It might be, or just the body gave out after a while.
It was a shame because they really hit it on with him.
Yeah, he was good.
And I read a piece, or I saw a piece of a video on him, and it was the way he got discovered, and when he got to be the front man, he was basically a fan of their previous stuff. And it's unfortunate. And then obviously Malcolm passed away not too long ago due to health issues. And I think Steve, is it Angus's son or Malcolm's son that took over? I think it's Malcolm's kid.
I think it's Malcolm's son.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So longevity, they've been there. I personally know Brian Johnson forward because of my age. Now, Ian, you probably remember Bon Scott a little better than I do. I only know Bon Scott from the albums I have.
Yeah, right.
Okay, I never saw actual videos of him growing up as a kid. Wheels, probably the same thing with you. We got introduced to Brian Johnson. Right. So to me as a kid, I always thought Brian Johnson was the guy. And he's actually Scottish.
Yeah, he is. That's true. I know. He doesn't look like a rocker at all. He looks like a mechanic.
So,
well, although that describes AC/DC rather well.
Yeah,
They're like
really.
blue-collar guys.
Yeah, from down
true.
under.
From down under.
And you know what? To me, they're safe. And they're in my top 3 that we had discussed a while back.
Yeah.
So for me, they're safe. Ian, I don't know.
They're safe now, and one of the reasons they got safe, I think, is because they started to be covered. And when you start to be covered, like ultimately Shania Twain covered them. Good Lord, that you're really accepted. If you can get to the point where kind of a off-genre people cover you, it's very odd. But to hear her say, "You rock me all night long," good God. Like, you realize, okay, it's just, you're part of the cultural trope now. You're part of the zeitgeist of AC. Everybody knows AC/DC. Everybody, even if you don't like them. And they sell out stadiums. They don't have to write any more music, which could be another criteria for safe. You don't have to do anything.
But they're doing another album.
I know.
With Axl Rose.
Yeah,
and Brian, make up your mind.
But you know what? It's going to sound exactly like the previous 9 albums. Like they're not known for. Now here's a soft little ballad.
Stiff upper lip.
Yeah. You rock me out. Yeah, it's going to be the same thing, and they're predictable, which is okay.
Well, that's their shtick, though.
They have their shtick.
Who made who?
Actually, that could be a criteria.
Yeah, really.
When you accept your limitations. So once you stopped trying to be something you're not, could be another criteria for safe.
That's not like, McCartney's a great example, right?
Well, yeah.
You just kind of say, oh, well, that didn't work, so I'll sing some Beatles songs.
All right. So the next one, they were known as the Quarrymen, but Ian will talk to us about who they really are.
Well, they're the Silver Beatles. No, they're the Beatles are I mentioned at the beginning of the show, the Beatles is probably the ultimate safe band. And they're so well known. Whatever, they're known in outer space. We could throw a trivia question at our listeners. How many Beatles right now are still alive? Tick, 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 tick. That's right. 3, right? I know you thought 2 and 3 because Pete Best, the founding drummer, is still going in Hamburg. He still lives there. And, of course, Ringo and Paul McCartney. Stu Sutcliffe was the original bass player. Wasn't much of a bass player. Good-looking guy. And they really kept him in for his looks for a while. He looked like James Dean. He died quite young, 1961, I think. George Harrison, of course, and John Lennon passed away. The ultimate safe band. One of the reasons for that is just basic fame. Beatlemania, hey, the biggest band in history that way. But also the songs, you can range from Let It Be to Revolution. Like you can, it's such a wide range that you're going to find something you like. And I would argue the ultimate safe band.
I think so, yeah.
And they're from Liverpool. They've been around, they did 60 to 70? And I got a trivia question for both of you.
Okay, oh no.
And it says here, I didn't write this so you could see okay. How many singles did the Beatles release in 1964? And they put their first year. I don't know if that's really their first year, but they just said how many singles did the Beatles release in 1964?
If I can preface what will be an incorrect answer, it would be there's need more explanation in the question because you release a certain amount in the UK and a certain amount in North America. It's not the same amount. But I'm going to assume they mean North America, where this trivia game was probably printed.
I think so, yeah.
I would go with that.
What's the number?
1964 was a huge year. How many did they release? You can't release a Okay, all right, I think I know what they mean. How many became maybe number ones or something, as singles? I'm going to say over a year, 8.
Okay. Wheels?
I was going towards 8 or 10, yeah.
Yeah, 29.
Holy hell.
Wow.
29.
So that seems pretty extreme.
Seems pretty extreme. I don't know how accurate this is.
Okay,
but
there's a difference here. You can release a single. Yeah, it says 29. It's amazing.
that to me you put some safe.
but it doesn't. You have to understand, and I'm sure out in our audience there, people know what a single is as opposed to a charting single. If you release a single, the way it works is this: you have an album. Let's say the album's called "Let It Be," and then the PR guys get together with A&R, whoever. The whole group gets together and says, "Okay, we got to release a single." And what that means is what has the best chance of popularity. Doesn't mean it's going to be popular, but what is the best chance? So all this 29 tells me, say, by 1964, the Beatles had barely recorded 29 songs. So they probably went over and says, where's the best chance of making it? Well, I Want to Hold Your Hand. I Saw Her Standing There, whatever it was. It doesn't mean they charted much. It just means they released as singles in the UK or the States. Not the same.
Next band that I would deem safe. It's a good band from Aberdeen, Washington. They were around from 87 to 94, and that is Nirvana. And it consisted of the late, great Kurt Cobain, Chris Novoselic, my favorite David Grohl, and Pat Smear, who was their kind of like rhythm guitars and also touring guitars. And then when Dave ended up starting Foo, well, he kind of asked Pat to kind of join, and Pat kind of went in and out with them. So to me, in a short period of time, it was an era where grunge had just been starting, and I think they kind of fall in there as the forefathers. And if I'm going to put forefathers of grunge, I'm going to probably have to say, Neil Young kind of started this. Definitely Nirvana, Pearl Jam, and I don't know, maybe Soundgarden. They've been around long enough.
Yeah.
I'm going for bands that have been around in those 80s era. Not correct me if I'm wrong, but anyways, to me, Nirvana is safe. With that small period of time, they accomplished quite a few albums, and no matter what, their songs still chart. They're still topping the charts on certain, other lists that you look at the internet and whatnot. So that to me, they're safe. Ian, if you want to add to that, or if you want to agree,
I would. This is an interesting point right now, is that when someone in a band dies. Untimely death, how does it affect whether they become safer or unsafe? And I would argue that it makes the band safer, and I've seen it happen. I don't know what it is in the human. Maybe we just extend mercy or something. But Nirvana, of course, when they started out, this was not a safe band. They were a loud, kind of ugly, raucous band they seemed to know 3 chords. Then they did the Unplugged on MTV, and you realize, boy, these guys are really good musicians, and these songs are well structured. Kurt Cobain knows how to put a song together, and it was a real eye-opener when that special came out. And I would say, in my opinion anyway, they became safe at about that time. Then they became famous, and then, of course, he died. Kurt Cobain died, and it launched the band kind of into superstardom. But they were a defunct band, which is almost like the Doors. It's odd the way that can happen. So, yeah, I'd say they're safe.
they're safe. All right, let's move on to the list. Wheels, what's the next one you got there?
Guns N' Roses,
And where are they from?
L.A., California. So 85 to the present, although that's debatable. And
They took a break from 93 onwards.
So, of course, everybody knows the singer is Axl Rose.
Not his real name, by the way.
No, it's like William or something.
I think it's Phil Johnson. No, I don't know.
It's something different.
Slash, who has like the ultimate name to be an insurance agent. So he's the guitarist. You've got Duff McKagan for bass, Izzy Stradlin for guitar from 85 till 91. Steve Adler on drums from 85 to 90. Matt Sorum on drums from 90 to 97. Steve Ferrer on drums from 2006 till now. As we're recording, it's 2019. And Dizzy Reed on piano.
And here's the thing. They also have a young female girl. I think she's Canadian. She does the keyboards. I don't quite have her name. I do apologize. When I saw them live, she was there. Funny story about Steve Adler. They kicked him out because he had a huge drinking problem of the band. And they kicked him out. He'd been wanting to come back.
Mm-hmm.
And when they reunited again, they're like, it's okay. We're good. We don't want you. It's kind of weird, I guess, eh?
Especially considering what the lifestyle Axl Rose has had for the last 30 years.
Because I find with their albums, the way it came out, Appetite for Destruction is one of the best albums out there. But I'm also debating with myself whether I like that one or GNR Lies better. Now, Ian, I kind of let you sample a bit of the songs of Lies.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm kind of like torn. Use Your Illusion 1 and 2, I'm not a big fan. Especially 2, forget it. Chinese Democracy, it's all right. But this is a time when Axl and Slash were upset at each other. And they recorded it at different times. Axl went in, did his singing, all that. Slash came in, did the guitar. It was weird.
Yeah, it was
So,
pre-assembled.
It was
album.
pre-assembled, and Duff, oh, poor Duff, he was just in the middle of it all. So the guys that are still there, the original 3 of Axl, Slash, and Duff, they're still there.
Yeah.
And Duff did some side projects on his own. He went with another band called the Levons. I forget what the hell they're called, but he did like a supergroup band. So, are they safe?
To an extent, I say.
Yeah, to an extent.
I just think the reason why, and I'm going to be selfish because he's one of my favorite guitarists, I'm going to say they're safe because of Slash. I'll be honest.
Well, Slash has good PR, unlike the others.
Yeah, he is. He's great.
He's got
PR.
a nice solo career.
Mm-hmm.
He toured with Michael Jackson for years. That's pretty big.
He jammed
It's also
with
surreal. But
Yeah, but it's pretty
Yeah,
big.
you're right. He jammed with B.B. King. That gives you cred.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if they're Hall of Fame bound. Did they make it yet? Are they in there? Not yet, eh?
there's a lot of discussion. I'm not sure if they made it.
I don't think they made it, but they should be in a lock for next time, I think.
Well, they're super popular, and that's certainly, and they have longevity, so they hit a few of the criteria. Are they safe? I would say they're borderline, and I only say that because of their lack of what you could call genuine hits, which is also part of the gig. They have stuff like Child of Mine, but big hits. They don't have that. They're more of a. I always think of Guns N' Roses as a touring band. Anybody that goes to their shows seems to love them. You know.
They put on a good show.
Yeah,
I saw them 2 years. I saw them not last summer, but the summer before.
Yeah.
Oh,
They put on a good show. They're known for it. Is they safe? I'm going borderline. Like they're sitting on the fence. Yeah.
Like touring safe, we'll call it.
Touring. I like that. Touring safe.
I'm gonna say safe, just because of Slash, and that's why I'm gonna say it's safe. Sometimes it could take that one member just to solidify your career.
Yeah.
And safe if you just considered, let's say, Appetite for Destruction.
Yeah,
Like
Yeah.
it's a one album safe.
it is.
That's true.
Next band, for
One of
me,
your favorite.
of
yeah.
course, Foo Fighters, good old Seattle, Washington band. 94 onwards, they're still going. Grohl is the singer. Well, let's see. Grohl is the singer, guitarist, keyboardist, drummer,
Songwriter.
bassist, songwriter.
Deity.
And then he needed help because he couldn't do a live show on his own. It'd be kind of cool if he could have just ran around, but I'd support him. So he started off, so he was there. He's still there, sorry. Franz Stahl was a guitarist from 97 to 99. Then it was replaced by Chris Shiflett, thank God. So Chris Shiflett came in 99 onwards. Nate Mendel is one of the founding members with Dave. So if you guys remember our Foo Fighters piece, I explained how they met. Pat Smear, obviously there was a connection there with him and Nirvana, so he came back twice, so his second go around he's still there. William Goldsmith, Ian, I asked you about this guy, and you're like, yeah, I'm not too sure what the hell his deal was, but he was the drummer from 94 to 97, and then, well, we got that Canadian content of Alanis Morissette introducing Taylor Hawkins to Dave, and, well, Taylor's been there since 97. Unfortunately, it's not the right Hawkins that hooked up with Beverly D'Angelo.
It was hooked up. Yeah.
And then Rami Jaffe figured, well, the Wallflowers aren't doing anything. I need a job. So they hired him as an organ guy since 2017. So without further ado, in my opinion, they're safe because of Grohl, of what he already accomplished with Nirvana and what he's been doing right now onwards. I always have to defend these guys when I say why I like him. What do you mean, man? He was nothing without Nirvana. BS. He was already writing stuff, and Kurt was 100% supportive on it, all right? So, no, they're safe.
Actually, I found him much more interesting after Nirvana.
Well, he's got to open up his own realm.
Exactly,
you know?
yeah.
And you got to realize the first album that they did, he did it all on his own.
Oh, no, it's an insanely good album.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be on when we do our island conversation. It's going to be on my island for sure.
And you have to admire a band that in 2017 brings back an organ. Like, organs were really big from 65 to, 72?
Yeah, something like that.
But he still does. It's also piano keyboards, too, right?
Oh, yeah, no. But, I mean, you have to admire a band that has guts like that.
Yeah. So, I'm saying they're safe. Ian, you want to debate that, or should we go outside and settle it?
They are really... Dave Grohl is a really interesting character because when he was with Nirvana, he was a nobody. He was this kind of goofy-looking guy sitting up in the drums. He wasn't even noticed. I was there. It wasn't. It didn't happen. Kurt Cobain was a kind of a bizarrely charismatic character in a sloppy sweater and chains smoking and staggering around. You didn't notice the other guys, really. It didn't work out that way. Then suddenly he goes off and forms this band, the Foo Fighters, to the point where he's selling out concerts. He performs for the president of the United States. How did this guy do it? So, well, one of the ways he did it is he became safe. You don't get people who are unsafe performing at the White House. It doesn't work out that way. They're too unreliable. Now, he did it by being a strong songwriter, and I think primarily by putting on good live shows. He's kind of like a new version of Springsteen. He does long shows, high energy, right? And he gets the crowd involved. All you got to do is YouTube him, and you'll see what I mean. He brings up audience members. He's become this entertainer, and he's good at it. Who knew? Little Dave Grohl up in the drums. So I would agree with you. I think it's a safe band to like.
Perfect. The next one, Pearl Jam. They're from Seattle, Washington. They're still going. They're releasing another album this year, 2019. Eddie Vedder is a singer. Mike McCready, lead guitarist, who also did not a solo project, but did a supergroup project with Lane Stanley called Mad Season. Then you have Jeff Ament, who's on the bass. Stone Gossard, what a nice name, eh? Stone Gossard on rhythm guitar. And then they've changed their drummer only once, which is not too bad. I don't know who the original one was, but I put Matt Cameron because Matt Cameron's been around since 98 onwards. I'm going to have to say they're safe, given for the fact of longevity. So 1990, we're now 2019. We're almost pushing 30 years.
Yeah, and they've actually gone from their original sound to something rather interesting.
So I don't really think there's really much debate on these ones.
No, I think that the fact that they can call Eddie Vedder to do soundtracks for movies, that's how I know you're safe.
So they're good.
Yeah.
Next one, I'm going to say they're not safe. It's Alice in Chains, a band from Seattle, Washington. 87 onwards, yes, the longevity is there. But Lane Staley died in 2003, and the band kind of took a break in 2002. You come back in 2006 with William Duvall. Jerry Cantrell was the leader of this band. He still is there. They have Mike Inez, who's been their bassist since 93 onwards. Mike Starr was the bassist originally. And then Sean Kenny, who does drums and piano, which is kind of an interesting combination. I bought their last album just because I felt I had to complete my collection. I don't know why I bought it. It's good, but it's not like, oh, geez, going to blow you out of the water.
I think it's because you're a completist more than anything else.
At the end of the day, I just feel when you start changing your lead singer, you change your sound.
See, to me, they were safe until 2002. Like with Lane Staley, they were safe. Now it's up in the air. Like you said, they change their sound every album now.
Well, you're second guessing yourself now. You still want to continue. That's fine, but like, don't call yourself Alice in Chains. You call yourself something else.
Or Alice Under Chains, or
no, but you know what I mean. Like, people are going to know
Alice Unchained.
You know,
Yeah,
like,
actually,
people
that'd be
know.
good.
Yeah,
it's not bad. Like Prometheus.
If they would have went that way, like William Duval's already been recognized in his own solo work.
Yeah.
So you could have came up with something else. And as soon as people hear, oh, it's Jerry Cantrell and William Duval, fine, they're in. You know, whatever. To me, they're not safe. And
Yeah, I agree. I don't think maybe they're borderline at the best, but I wouldn't head that way.
No. So that's fine. Next one, I want you guys to discuss these next two bands because it's more of a similar. So Ian, who knows more about the Wheels? This is your band, Wheels.
You take them.
You take it.
The lunatic is on the grass.
So the Floyd, so Pink Floyd, band from London, who started out in '65, more or less retired in 2014. Although they still put out albums of bad cuts.
Greatest hits.
It's not even greatest hits at this point. They're just like going through the basement tapes.
Yeah.
Of course everybody's heard of Roger Waters. He was the singer and the bass from 65 till 85. David Gilmour, singer guitarist 68 to 2014. Sid Barrett, singer lead guitarist 68 to 2006. Richard Wright, keyboard 65 to 2008, and Nick Mason, drums 1965 to 2014.
I should hop in and say Sid Barrett wasn't active till 2006.
Good point, yeah.
Yeah, he was active to 70, I'm going to say 71, something like that, 70.
Yeah.
Sid didn't last long.
No?
No. Sid was kind of the Brian Wilson school, but it was much worse for Sid. Yeah, the poor guy. But he was the founder, and he wrote their first hit called See Emily Play, which was very 60s and psychedelic in a way. And quite a talented guy. He put out a few albums on his own. One was called, I think, it was something Laughs, not the Lunatic Laughs, or something. It was pretty good. I remember getting it years ago. But it's not a happy story, and of course he passed away.
Well, there was actually an interview with Nick Mason, actually, and he's hoping for a reunion. He feels very confident there will be a Pink Floyd reunion, and he wants Roger and David to settle their differences
Well, there's
now.
3 left, yeah.
Yeah, he goes, settle your differences now. He says, because there's too many artists that left this world without settling their differences, and he feels that if they don't, this is how it's going to end up, and he doesn't want to see that.
Plus, I mean, it's an interesting band. They start out as really out there, experimental, psychedelic, almost something you would have heard at the Factory with Andy Warhol.
Yeah, they were like the resident band at a club called the UFO Club in London, and they became very well known as the resident band. You went to see, it's actually called The Pink Floyd, but as time went by, this Pink Floyd, and then of course Floyd. But The Pink Floyd was a popular band, a house band in the mid-'60s, kind of an art school band, like experimental. Just listen to the Sid Barrett stuff.
So are they safe or not?
Well, I'd say they're safe from 73 on, really.
Yeah, big time.
Perfect.
And I mean, you have to give it to guys that are now they're writing operas based on their stuff. That's more than ultimately safe.
Yeah, really.
All right. So moving on to the next band, Ian.
Supertramp, you're bloody well right. 1969 to present. Well, not really to present, but
Yeah.
it's
debatable.
It's debatable. Like, you know, I don't know who actually owns the name, but
It's Rick Davies.
yeah. Well, there you go. Like it's like when I was speaking. Was it you guys a few days ago? Who was the actual name to the Guess Who? And it turns out that it's not Randy Bachman or Burton Cummings. So if you go see the Guess Who, those fine lads won't be in it. I think it's the drummer and maybe the bass player.
Yeah, that's what it is.
It's so bizarre.
Because when I was doing my research, because they're just on this list towards the end, but I was doing they're still going. And I'm like, no.
No, I know they're playing some casino in Moosonee. You go, Bert Cummings? No, it's not them. Supertramp. So Roger Hodgkin, he's a singer. He sang most of the stuff. And Supertramp is essentially a keyboard band. Something to keep in mind when you consider, if you want defining characteristics of bands, one of the big kind of macro definitions, are they a keyboard band or a guitar band? Usually it's one or the other. Supertramp is a real keyboard band.
Especially in the 80s.
Pardon me?
Especially in the 80s.
Yeah, 80s was because of synthesizers and stuff. Oh, man. Rick Davies, they have here listed as harmonica. He was more than that, but he also played keyboards. John Halliwell, woodwinds. Yeah, that's a pretty broad category. Woodwinds. Yeah. That's everything from a flute to a...
What's that thing that the bamboo thing you...
Yeah.
Oh, pan flute?
Sapphire. The hills of Greece come alive.
Yeah, that's it.
And a didgeridoo.
Yeah. Dougie Thompson, bass. Cliff Hugo, bass. These guys overlap. Like, people leave, people come back. And Bach Seidenberg, drums. I would argue that this band is very safe. They're not controversial. They never were. They had 2 or 3 huge albums beginning with Crime of the Century around 70, I'm going to say 73, 74. They were a huge band, and they still tour in one form or another, sell out stadiums. There's nothing to dislike about them.
I don't know about selling out. Hold on.
They do really well.
Roger Hodgson sells out.
Yeah.
On his own.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, to me, this band pretty well disassembled in '83. That was it.
Yeah.
Because he was the voice. And we had this discussion actually
Yeah.
a couple days ago. I don't know if Wheels was in earshot in that table discussion, but I had said, what's your favorite Supertramp album? You said Crime of the Century.
Yeah.
I say Breakfast in America.
Sure.
But to me, as soon as Roger Hodgson's distinct voice is gone,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. But they're safe because I think they are Hall of Fame, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know. But you know what? Okay,
Maybe.
we'll look that up, but I'll reword it then. Till the breakup of the original band, they're mega safe, and their legacy is safe.
Exactly.
You're right. It's like, hey, you can go and see the Beach Boys now, and it's just Mike Love singing. Everyone else is either dead or a 25-year-old with a guitar. It's not really the Beach Boys, but in their prime, safe. So,
Okay.
good
Next
point.
one. Oh, Ian.
Yeah,
I'm going to argue on this one with you.
sure. Oh, my God.
So just say, you're going to say what? Yes or no? You're going to say safe or not safe?
I'm going to say mega safe.
Oh, I thought you were going to argue with me as well.
No, no.
Okay, all right.
But still I'm going to argue.
All right, so U2, they're a band from Dublin, Ireland, and based from 76 to still now. Still the same 4 guys, Bono, Edge, Adam Clayton, and Larry Mullen Jr.
Bono's original name actually was Cher. Anyway,
No, it's not. It's Paul Houston.
I thought it was Cher Bono. Okay, I got that wrong.
So to me, I think they've solidified themselves as being safe in 1987 when they released the Joshua Tree. That's it. I'm done. That's my
I think
argument.
that's not bad.
That's it. Joshua Tree solidified them. And by the way, you know who called me yesterday? And he wanted me to tell you that he doesn't like you.
Okay.
Bob Geldof.
Well, I regard that as a compliment.
He says to me, he goes, what are you doing with Clark? I'm like, he helps me out. He's like, because I really like your show. He goes, it's good. Yeah, he's insightful, but because I just don't like Ian. I said, okay, I'll pass the message on. I'm sure the feelings are mutual.
Oh, Bob Geldof, if he ever happens to walk in front of my car, I hope he's insured to his teeth because it's over. Not only that, I would reverse too to make sure.
So, anyways, Bob says that they're safe.
Yeah. Well, because they're from Ireland, so is Bob.
And Midge, who's Midge? It was a Midge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're from Bob Geldof. His band was called. What was it? Tell Me Why I Don't Like Mondays. What was the name of his band?
Not in New Order, is it?
No, it was an '80s band that had one hit, and I can't believe I've just forced it out of my consciousness. Bob Geldof,
Maybe it should stay
Boomtown
there.
Rats. That's it.
Anyways, so I'm saying you're saying they're mega safe.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
saying they're safe, but you want to argue about something.
Well, okay, I got a real problem with you two, and my problem with them is that look at. I don't know who or who doesn't deserve fame. I don't know who or who doesn't deserve to sell out huge stadiums across the world and mega tours, although the last one didn't do nearly as well. But I don't get U2. I listen to their albums. Now, that said, as a proviso, I've always got beaten up in bars because of this attitude. But one happened about 5 years ago. This guy almost took my head off. He loves U2. He worships them. They are a religion. He follows them around like a little puppy. I don't get it. I listen to their stuff. It's okay, but it's kind of I would say is mediocre. I can't even figure if the Edge, as he calls himself, the Edge, if he can play guitar or if he's really good using pedals. I don't know. In fact, why don't you go check out that documentary? I think it's called "It Might Get Loud" with Jack White and Jimmy Page and The Edge, and the three of them kind of exchange guitar licks. So you got The Edge kind of going up and jamming with Jimmy Page. Wow, that's a mistake. The Edge is trying to tune his guitar, and Page is going into Stairway for Heaven. Like, it's just, check it out, and you shake your head and say, how did this guy do it? Well, he did it, and everybody likes him. From 14 years old to 400, people seem to like you too.
I think you hit the nail on the head, though, when you said it's like a religion.
Yeah.
Once you're a believer, you don't doubt anything.
That's a really good point. Like the Grateful Dead and Deadheads.
Exactly, yeah.
They follow them around in caravans.
At least with the Dead, though, you could explain it with a lot of marijuana.
Well, there are bands like
And
that.
acid.
There are bands like that have this. It's like I call it a cult following.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Think about it. Kid Rock has a following, and if you ever go to his concert, it's like a ton of bikers. Like, really, it's
Terrifying.
Okay. Dave Matthews Band has got a huge following.
Unbelievable.
The Hip had a following.
They did.
Rush, which is our
Yeah,
next
they
band
do.
coming up, has a friggin' following.
They do.
So, wow. Okay, you must be doing something right.
Yeah, they must give them what they want.
And there's a lot of carny folks at some of these concerts, and they're not really attractive people to look at. Just thought I'd share that. Sorry, they're missing teeth. Okay, I have all my pearly whites.
Oh, you do.
Yeah.
Half of them are false, but yeah.
Yeah, what do you care? As long as it looks shiny. And at
They're
least
all gold.
There you go. But anyways, so we're safe with them. Ian?
You want to talk about Rush?
Well, I don't know. You done?
I'm done.
All right. Rush. Go ahead.
Rush.
Where are they from?
Oh, beautiful Burlington, Ontario. Holy Christ. They're responsible for Rush. Geddy Lee, singer. Geddy Lee, if you've ever had a really, really bad nightmare,
I want to be a singer, Dad.
and the pit and Satan is screaming at you across a hellhole, he's going to sound a lot like Geddy Lee. Alex Lifeson guitar, and of course Neil Peart, very well known for his pyrotechnic and skilled drumming.
He wears a bandana still.
Oh, good. Well, probably to cover up a massive glare. These guys have been around since about 68, 69.
Yeah.
But I put here, I found present in, I don't know.
No, they're retired. And I can't remember if it's Lifson or Perth that said it's because we can no longer ensure that the fan will actually get the sound. I think
Pert.
Yeah, it's Pert because the pyrotechnic that he does, he says, no issue doing him when I'm 18. Serious issues doing him at 68.
Oh, really? Yeah.
And he's one of those people who said, basically, he says, I respect my fans too much to give them a shitty sound. Like, I want to give them the whole theatrics, so might as well retire.
So they're safe.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, especially in Canada, they're gods. And,
No.
oh, no.
In certain circles, he's right. Like in Prague circles.
They're known for wearing pantsuits.
Well, so's Anne Murray.
I think they're safe, 91 on, more or less?
Well, they were inducted, eh?
Yeah, they're inducted.
They're
and
inducted, so yeah, okay. They're safe. Like I said, I gotta support what I just said, or else I'm contradicting. But yeah, you're inducted into Hall of Fame. I think you're pretty well good in my books.
They're safe.
yeah.
They might be just unlistenable, but they're safe.
All right, so the next band, Ian and I were going to argue about this
No,
one.
big time.
And this is going to be our last band before we say bonsoir. So, Bon Jovi. They're from Sayreville, New Jersey, and they've been around since 83 onwards. Obviously, the one that you find as cute as a bug and you want to slap his ass is John Bon Jovi.
He really is cute.
Richie Sambora, God love his wife. I don't know if he's still with her, Heather Locklear. God bless her. He left in 2013. Now there's a guy called Phil X that's the lead guitar. Phil X or Phil X?
Phil X, because he's filling in.
He's filling in. So what do we got here? Oh, there's also Alec John Sutk, who's been there forever. Hugh McDonald has been there forever. Actually, Sucks is gone. They kicked him out. I remember that argument. That was from they did that Crossroads album. He was gone. And Tico Torres has still been on the drums forever, and so has been David Bryan. So to me, they're safe, and if I'm not mistaken, they are Hall of Fame.
Listen, I'm not, again, they are safe, but it's so puzzling to me because it's really hard for me to accept John Bon Jovi.
Is it because it's something cultural coming out of New Jersey?
Hey, don't knock Springsteen.
Yeah, true, yeah.
Born to Run. I don't know. I've always find it hard to take John Bon Jovi, what do you want to call him, as a band. They were more of a marketing phenomenon to me. I guess because I was there when they kicked off in the first album and stuff, and they were never a cool band. Like people didn't. I don't know who bought their albums, who went to their concerts.
Girls.
Yeah, really, because he's so cute, and they're still around. Maybe with time, it made them safe. It made them kind of hip in a retro way. But at the time, John Bon Jovi were just totally uncool. They're just some kind of a stadium band. And if you listen to the songs, they were written that way with kind of sing-along stuff. So, yeah, I know they're safe, but it doesn't make it right.
So we're going to wrap it off. I'm Ferris Kennedy saying bonsoir to the left of me in the studio.
Dr. Ian Clark. Au revoir.
And then the other side of the booth, who's actually awake.
Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry, yeah. Stephen Wheeler.
So with that, further ado, good night.